Hello, everybody. Welcome to Movies by McManus, the podcast where we break down movies, comics, TV, books in the context of who created it and what effect it's trying to have on the world. I'm your host, Greg. With me always is my brother, Mike.
Hello, how are you?
And today we're going to be talking about the 2019 film, the winner of the 2019 Oscar for Best Picture, the Korean film Parasite, directed by Bong Joon-Ho. And I was really excited to kind of talk about this movie. I like this movie a lot. A lot of the themes of kind of wealth inequality and kind of this idea of poor people kind of fighting against each other in pretty nasty ways. In they go from tricking people into losing their jobs to attempted murder at the end, and they're all kind of fighting each other for the right to work for a rich family who could not care less about their problems, they
don't even see them
really
as people,
just indifferent. And I like this kind of idea that when people watch this and they think, well, did Mr. Park, who is the patriarch of the wealthy family, did he really deserve to get killed at the end? And I always say, like, his main crime is his indifference. It's not so much that he's actively causing harm to the poor people. He's not the reason that they're poor, but his crime is how much he doesn't care and how much he goes to make sure that the problems of his workers and the problems of just poor people in general, that he never has to see.
I don't know. I mean, like he was more of, to me, his character is showing like how he's also just kind of buying hook, line, and sinker, this almost like an American dream. I don't know much about Korea, but just the idea of like, just, try to make it as, high up in your field as you can. And, just like he seems to be disconnected from like his family in a way and his life. And like, he just, I don't see him so much as like a intentionally bad person.
I don't see him as intentionally bad either.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the point, is that none of the rich characters are trying to do harm.
Yeah.
It's really
Specifically the wife, but also, the wife has kind of created this safe space of her house that she does not want the problems of the poor or like anything to do with like the lower class to kind of invade that. And I always saw that as like, well, if you are going to have workers in your house, if you're going to have people from a lower class than you in your house and working, then you have to accept that that's part of that, because you cannot just treat people as servants. You have to treat people who work for you as human beings. And so we talk about how the Kim family kind of, they finesse their way in to all be some sort of like house worker for the Park family by basically tricking them into firing all their house workers. And I bring this up on my breakdown of really like the reasons why these people are fired, of their house workers are fired, with like the most egregious thing that they can do is what's called or whatever. Egregious.
Like the worst thing that they could do is what Mr. Park refers to as crossing the line.
Right.
Well, basically, you are on the lower class.
It's funny because he never really explains what that even means.
It's a phrase he uses a lot that he doesn't mean. He doesn't fully explain it. But I always thought of it as, there's a line between me and you.
Yeah.
I'm wealthy, you are poor. When you come into my house to work, you do not bring that over the line.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think it's more of like, have like your job face, and like don't show me, like, I don't need to know about
Yeah.
Essentially the same thing.
And if you watch the cinematography of this movie, a lot of the worker characters and the rich family are shot with literal lines between them. There's one scene.
I didn't catch that.
Well, there's one scene in the beginning of when we first meet Mrs. Park. That she's kind of passed out at the table in the backyard. Yeah. And you see there's the housewife, the housekeeper on one side, and then there's Mrs. Park on the other, and Mrs. Park is asleep, and the window creates a line between them.
Oh, interesting.
And you see that the housekeeper steps over the line to kind of snap.
Oh, wow.
She's stepping over the line, and there's other scenes when they're at the kitchen table and Mrs. Park is interviewing the character Jessica. The fridge creates a line in between them, and then when Jessica kind of starts getting personal, the camera changes and that line is gone, of like Jessica has stepped over the line.
That's interesting.
Here. But when I talk about the reasons that the former housekeeper and driver are fired, is kind of like you are bringing issues of the poor people into our house. More specifically with like the tuberculosis, because they basically trick Mrs. Park into believing that her current housekeeper has tuberculosis and has come to work with this disease. And Mrs. Park says a line of just like, I didn't know people still got tuberculosis, which apparently in the poorer communities is still very much an issue.
In Korea?
Well, at least that's what the film is saying. I don't know specifically if that is, but the film, Mr. Kim clearly says like, yes, in the poorer communities, there's still an issue of tuberculosis. So I always saw it as, you're bringing this disease that's supposed to be kept down in the lower class up to us, and you are crossing the line and now bringing this into our home.
Right.
And I see this as like, that's the crime of Mrs. Park, is really just, she's created this space in her home and she does not want any of the problems of the outside world coming in. And that if you do bring any of these problems in, you are going to lose your job because of it.
Yeah. She's also just like throwing money at things, like thinking it's going to make her life perfect and happy.
Yes. And we also see that like the rich family isn't really happy.
No.
The poorer family is clearly happier, but the poorer family has real problems to deal with.
And they're kind of like really over dramatized, like as far as like the water coming up in their apartment. Not saying that couldn't happen, obviously, but like they use these visual things to like really drive that home. They have like the homeless guy like continually pissing outside of their apartment.
Well, I love just like the production design of this movie, specifically when it comes to that sub-basement apartment, which I didn't know, but like in Seoul, Korea, where this movie takes place, there's like a lot of them of these very cheap apartments. And the thing with the toilet is like actually real, where you kind of have to walk upstairs to use the toilet because the plumbing is above you, basically. I think that's great. The scene when their apartment is getting flooded is like brutal. Is really brutal. When
reminded me of Hurricane Sandy.
I was not here for Hurricane Sandy.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
So we should bring up Hurricane Sandy. That when I was in college, I was in Montclair in New Jersey, which is on top of a mountain. So we did not flood at all. I totally forgot about that. We did not flood at all. We did not lose any power in Montclair, New Jersey. On Long Island, where you were, our entire street got flooded.
Yes.
And there was, tons of property damage. Yeah, I could imagine watching that could remind you of Hurricane Sandy.
That was literally like the basement was like maybe up to here or so.
Right.
Like I had tons of equipment that was just floating in water. Yeah. It was very surreal.
It's brutal because things seem to be going so well for the Kims.
Yeah.
Up until the scene.
Well, you know that it's gonna break.
We know that it's going to break because everything that they do is based off of a lie.
Yeah,
they lied about the fact that they're related to each other.
Yeah.
The Parks don't think that they're all strangers. They've coerced them into firing everybody who works there.
I actually really liked that metaphor of just like how you can't really live your life based off of lies.
No.
Because as much as you can get away with, and as like long of a period of time as it could be good, like shit's always gonna crumble.
Yeah.
You know?
But it's really just like they don't have a lot of options other than to lie. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, before they were employed by the Parks, they're like getting paid by this pizza place to just fold boxes for them.
Yeah, the lying is set up from the beginning.
Yeah, the lying is kind of set up from the beginning of Kevin, who is the son in the Kim family. I also like how they because apparently this is a thing in Korea of they will have their Korean name, and then a lot of like the younger people will also take on an American name.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
So the son is Kevin, and then the daughter goes by Jessica.
Right.
Which is also, it's not even like, I mean, those are just American names that they kind of chose because they're playing these aliases. But Kevin is kind of taken in because his friend was tutoring the daughter, and the friend is like, I'll lie for you. Like, if you want this job while I'm away, you can take it. And then he finesses the rest of his family into it. And, you understand, like, yes, you can't build things up based off of lies, but they're in a situation where they don't really have any option. And
no, yeah, for sure.
And Mr. Kim even talks about, like, for a security guard job, you have 400 people with college degrees lining up for one job. How lucky are we that we have a family where where all four of us are employed? As if like the part of the community in Seoul, Korea that they live in, like that is almost unheard of.
Yeah. It's a really creative like way. It started dawning on me what the title Parasite meant. Like where you start realizing like, oh shit, like the family are fucking parasites.
Yeah. Well, I see this. So there's the first scene. They say kind of their basement and apartment has been infested by insects of stink bugs.
Yeah.
And so there's like the literal parasite, and then they've kind of come in, which
that's not.
No, and it's wrong to like equate the poor to insects, but
no, it's not. I mean, no, for the sake of making the argument that
for the
rich people in the movie are making
the rich people do see them
doesn't mean
as
you're
like
saying
insect.
that.
The rich people can see that of like we have an infestation.
Yeah, I mean, people use the terminology infestation to have all sorts of racist, anti-Semitic. I mean, you pick it, like that like terminology has been like weaponized dating, forever, and it still is to this day.
Yeah. Well, I see that as the term parasite. It's very much like how the rich kind of view this poor family, but if we look at like Bong Joon-Ho's other work, he's very clearly like anti-capitalist. Very.
It's just funny because as it was happening, I was like, it's another one of Greg's like anti-capitalist movies. I love this movie though. This movie is like fantastic.
Great,
it's just interesting. It's not a knock. You took that negatively. I mean, like,
no, I'm not taking it negatively.
It's interesting how like they sort of like, I feel like this theme now has been driven home.
Yes.
A lot.
But
maybe it's a reflection of the times that we're in.
It's 100% a reflection of the time. This was the Best Picture winner of this kind of anti-rich, anti-capitalism movie. Was the Best Picture winner last year. Look at all the other movies that came out. You had Joker. An extremely anti-capitalism movie.
I saw that as yes, but it's more so like on the mental health side.
Fine, but there's a very rich versus poor.
Sure.
Rich versus poor has been very present.
Allocation of priorities.
Yeah. Yes. When we had Sorry to Bother You, which it didn't come out last year, it came out in 2018. You haven't seen Us. Us is Jordan Peele. It's another movie that came out last year. I mean, there are literally so many examples of last year. And we are kind of in this, filmmaking-wise, just in general, we have this ongoing theme throughout maybe like the last 3 years of the rich are the bad guys now.
Why do you think that is? Like from the cynical business angle standpoint, because we know this is all about money.
Just like a straight up.
Are people just trying to are these studios trying to sell like the proletariat, like something to rally behind?
Maybe they know like the people who are really into movies, who are going to be reviewing these movies, are people like me who don't like big businesses, who aren't the biggest fans of rich people. And I also think it's just like they know that there are so many, there are so many people struggling right now, and we see so many rich people just like pretty much living their best lives ever.
Yeah.
That is the type of movie we want to see. We don't want to see a movie where,
I agree, but I'm saying there's also something fucked up about that, which is like these big businesses that are powering these movies are like, oh, show them this. Meanwhile, like we're doing this.
No, you're exactly right.
I mean, like
there's the fucked business end of it.
We're currently living in a world where like they still can't pass a fucking coronavirus stimulus package. Because you have like Nancy Pelosi on one end and Mitch McConnell on the other, who are both
useless,
who are both pieces of shit, like laughing on camera, like. We're a little delayed on when these come out, but like just this week, it was like you had Mitch McConnell who was like doing a debate against the person running against him. He's literally like laughing, and then you have Nancy Pelosi like losing her shit because she's like fighting, trying to basically not accept a deal that the Republicans are providing, because whether it's a good deal or not, it's like nothing. She's not going to allow anything to happen before the election, because it can't be a good reflection on Trump. So it's just like,
no, you're right, and it is all just like we don't want to see rich people as the good guys anymore. I don't think people want to see that. I think that the studios know that. Whatever, like, the studios had personal opinions on it probably doesn't matter. They know that if this is the movie, if that's the message that people are going to go to theaters through and give us their money for, then that's the type of movie we're going to put out.
It's just like, I feel like it misses the mark when it's just like, so what are we saying? Like, that any sort of ambition is bad? Like, that's a false narrative too. So it's just like, you're just like, oh, look at this evil family who like wants their son to do well in school. Like, give me a break. Like, go after the actual, like, go. And I love this movie, but I'm just saying, generally speaking, like, give me a break, dude. Like, this is the evil family.
Yeah.
Like, let's talk about like the real higher ups that are fucking running shit.
I think that's what great is about this movie is like this. The Park family is not evil.
No,
they're not evil by any means.
I mean, the father's a douchebag. I would not hang out with that guy.
No, the dad
like,
is.
He's
a douchebag.
Clearly like just a Wall Street bro. Like, yeah.
But what I say about like this movie, I brought up like Sorry to Bother You, which we did another video on. So if you're late to the party, check that out. But Sorry to Bother You kind of offers solutions to maybe the problem and kind of focuses the anger towards the right people. Yeah, I mean, their solution is kill your boss. But kind of focuses it towards the right people. While this movie this movie is more just about anger.
Yes.
This is a very angry movie.
It is.
And anger is not always directed at the right people.
True.
And it's not angry at I'm in this bad situation and it's this guy's fault. It's I'm angry because I'm in this situation and this guy's indifferent to it. And I said it in my breakdown, and I'll say it like Mr. Park's crime is not that he's actively trying to harm people. His crime is his indifference, is the fact that he doesn't care.
I don't even know that indifference is the right word.
Or the entire Park family, they go out of their way to just not see the problems, or they go out of their way to be specifically ignorant.
I don't know. They're being duped into thinking like someone has tuberculosis. Like, not for nothing. Like, yeah, you need to protect your family and not have someone. Okay. Maybe you don't throw her out on the street. Like, maybe if you're rich, you get her fucking cared for.
Right.
You know, so that for sure. But like, I don't know. I'm very, you know, I always like, I feel like I can sniff out motive sometimes. Right. And I'm just like something feels fishy with all these things. And I think it's just simply put that like you have big business behind these pictures.
Yes.
And it's like, you're selling me Diet Coke, but it's got fucking chemicals in it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it smells awful a little bit.
I gotcha.
It's a great fucking movie though. I really enjoyed this. This is my favorite one we've done so far. As far as a movie is concerned, obviously Sopranos. Like,
you can't Sopranos.
But I think this is the best movie so far.
We also have to remember that this movie, it's Korean, it's not American. So if it was American, maybe like they would have made Mr. Park some job where he is actively like, you know, destroying poor families. You know, this is a different culture.
They never really explain his job. It's just like he does.
It's ambiguous, but he's an architect.
Really? Okay, yeah. So I missed that. I thought it was like telecommunications or
no.
They have that one.
They might have made him like a stockbroker or some real scummy job in an American version. I don't know like if Korea really has that like major corporations or I mean I'm sure they do. It's kind of a universal theme throughout everybody of you know. Corporations.
Did you notice something else? We were touching on this last week. Is the ultra violence that we're seeing in a lot of films?
Yeah. Well,
it comes up yet again.
Bong Joon-Ho, all of his movies are pretty violent.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, this was mild compared to Devil All the Time, and
this is mild compared
Midsommar.
To a lot of Bong Joon-Ho's movies.
Sure.
All right, so I should talk about Bong Joon-Ho. So I knew about him because of this movie. This was the first movie of his that I saw. I saw this movie when it came out in theaters because I always kind of look at box office returns. And what was interesting about this movie was that it was the highest per theater average. Which basically means like the weekend that it came out, like it didn't make the most money of any movie. That would go to like some Disney or whatever. But it had the most average if you compare how many screens it was on.
I'm not sure I follow that. But.
All right, say like, you know, Avengers made $1 billion, but it played on 100 million screens. And then Parasite made way less than that, but it played on like 5 screens.
Yeah.
So the average per screen.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Was high. It was the highest that weekend.
Gotcha.
And usually the average per screen is like a pretty good indicator that a movie's really good.
Okay.
So I saw this movie and I was automatically interested in just Bong Joon-Ho. He has 2 other movies. One is called Okja, which you might like, but you might think it's too heavy-handed. His movie Okja is basically about like this girl who has a who has a giant pet pig and like a mutated pig, and this company that creates mutated pigs to basically been sold as eaten as this like super meat. And it's basically like Go Vegan, the movie.
Oh.
It's a little handed.
Well, they got me already, so
it's a little heavy-handed. Like it's a bit sillier, so it's not like as violent as something. Jake Gyllenhaal is in it, and he's like really weird. And
is Bong Joon-Ho vegan, I guess?
I don't know if he is. I'm assuming it. Like, there's no way that he could make this movie. If you watch the movie Okja, like, there's no way that whoever made that.
Is that why you stopped eating meat?
No, that's not why I stopped eating meat. I didn't stop eating meat because of Bong Joon-Ho. I stopped eating meat before I saw that movie.
Oh, because I was thinking the timeline kind of adds up.
A little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah. And he has another movie that is super violent and kind of goes more towards the themes of this movie called Snowpiercer. And Snowpiercer is it's an action movie where
I like
basically there's the world has ended and all of humanity is on one giant train that never stops that goes around the earth. And the rich people are in the front and they have everything, and the poor people are in the back. And there's kind of like this symbiotic relationship where the rich do need the poor people to do things, but like the poor people are supposed to know, like, you don't cross a line, you know, you don't go to the rich area, you know, you stay in the back and you're lucky enough to be on the train and to begin with. And there's this like very violent revolution of like the people in the back of the train kind of attack the front. And it's very similar, and a lot of the same themes of Parasite, like where we're talking about, of like the problems of the poor, it sticks in your area. You don't cross that line.
Yeah.
You don't bring it over here. And you know, I mean, Bong Joon-Ho, kind of all of his movies are really like that. He has another one called The Host, which is more like a horror movie. But with Snowpiercer, it's like very violent, and it does kind of have that same feeling of like most of the rich people, they're not really doing anything wrong. It's kind of just they happen to be born in the upper part of the train, and therefore like their life is better, and they don't pay attention to the people in the back.
Sure.
And it's kind of just that indifference.
I mean,
like,
you know, that is a big... I mean, there's countless quotes. I'm not going to try to mangle one right now, but basically the idea of like being complicit is like, you know, just as dangerous sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is true if it blinds you to taking action and calling out people that need to be called out and doing your part. So I totally get it from that standpoint.
There's something I should also bring up about Snowpiercer. So Snowpiercer came out in 2013, and it was distributed through the Weinstein Company.
Okay.
And Bong Joon-Ho like apparently had a lot of beef with Harvey Weinstein over it.
Pre-everything.
This was pre-everything. So Bong Joon-Ho is he's a close friend of Quentin Tarantino.
Okay.
And Quentin Tarantino had kind of always... Quentin Tarantino puts out like a lot of lists of like foreign films of like, you know, if you like my movies, these are things you should watch, and would always put Bong Joon-Ho's movies on there. And so when Snowpiercer came out, which Snowpiercer was kind of Bong Joon-Ho's like first big American release, it was gone through the Weinstein Company because that's what Quentin Tarantino pretty much does all of his movies through. And Harvey Weinstein wanted to change the ending of Snowpiercer. He wanted Bong Joon-Ho to like completely...
He wanted like some young actress to like come in at the end and blow the guy.
I don't know if I'll go there. Well, all right, hold on. If you fuck Harvey Weinstein. Hold on.
Obviously. Does that need to be said?
If you watch the ending of Snowpiercer, like the ending is very dark.
Yeah.
There's a very bleak ending to it, and I'm assuming they wanted like a happier ending to more appeal to like American audiences, and Bong Joon-Ho is coming from Korean cinema, where it's like you don't ask a director to change the ending of their movie. Like that's a huge insult.
Sure,
and
I mean that's how it
should be in America, but in America that's like pretty standard. That like a producer would say, "Hey, you
can you put a
you need
Target
to change things."
Product placement?
Yeah, and they had like a huge beef about it for a while, and basically Snowpiercer was supposed to be this huge release in America, and they cut down on the amount of screens that it was going to be on.
So they kept the ending.
They kept the original ending, but they
didn't distribute.
They didn't distribute it as much as they were going to.
Yeah.
Which it is like that's how Weinstein was. That's like how he did his business. He was
just a piece of shit.
He was a piece of shit in every aspect of him. A lot of people say he ruined the Oscars, him specifically.
What do you mean by that?
So
just in generally speaking, the Oscars?
The idea of the Oscars kind of the idea of giving gifts out to the voters, to the people who vote on what movies get, it's like something that he kind of started.
Yeah, what, like bribes?
Basically.
Yeah.
But it was like not as commonplace until he really like started.
So people do that?
Yeah, they'll give gifts to, or they'll give like,
what a sack of shit. The
Oscars is a sack of shit.
Fuck that, dude. Really?
Yes. Yeah.
How is that allowed? Like that's like
it's not like there's nothing legal
about the Oscars.
Yeah, there's no,
it's just
like,
some blow.
You can just do whatever the fuck you want. I mean, yeah.
That's like when they gave like Casey Affleck the Oscar. I actually liked that movie.
Manchester by the Sea.
Yeah, but it was just like you get a sense that people just get rewarded for like time served almost.
Yes.
Which I don't think that's really like the
idea. The
Oscars
are a load of bullshit anyway. Yeah. I like that Parasite won. I like that something like so far out of the kind of like Hollywood machine.
But let me ask you this. Like the cynic in me, right? Like the same mind that I'm going, why are these big businesses getting behind a movie like Parasite when it's like, oh man, eat the rich or whatever. It's not really that hardcore, but it's like, but meanwhile you are these big corporations.
Yeah.
So did they give Parasite the film because they knew what happened with Harvey Weinstein with him? You get where I'm going?
I get where you're going. Maybe. I think that
if we're going off the premise that it's not merit-based and it's bullshit anyway.
I 100% believe that the reason Bong Joon-Ho is now such a well-known name with filmmakers is because you don't have Weinstein around to kind of to keep him down anymore.
Yeah. I mean, so like the idea of like, so blacklisting was super real in the industry like not that long ago. Maybe it still is.
It still is. If a major producer, when Harvey Weinstein, just a couple of years ago, if he didn't like you, you weren't getting anything made.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, because like just the vast connections of
100%.
I
mean, yeah, I don't think it's a coincidence that he got taken down and now Bong Joon-Ho is suddenly back in the name. This guy that they notoriously hated each other.
And not only that, maybe it went like the other way where it's just like let's celebrate this guy.
Maybe they were like, let's give this guy the Oscar now because they won a lot.
It's a great movie.
It's a great movie.
Don't get me wrong.
Best picture, best foreign film, it's called best international film now.
I just took a swing at that.
It used to be best foreign language film, and now it's best international film. And then best screenplay, and then Bong Joon-Ho won best director.
Damn, they swept like a motherfucker.
Yeah. They deserved it. I actually did not think that this movie was going to win Best Picture. I thought for sure 1917 was going to win.
That one screenplay? That one's something big, right?
I want to say cinematography.
That one's something big.
I'm not exactly sure. I didn't really like it, but like there was
like one shot or something.
It was all one shot.
Which how is that possible?
They just do very long segments, and they just do very like.
So it's one take.
It's not one take.
Okay,
No,
right,
it's about 20-minute takes, and then it's like kind of cut together in a way that looks seamless, so that the entire movie.
So like
looks
we
one
start
long.
here and we go 20 minutes here, 20 minutes here, 20 minutes here, 20 minutes here.
It's
20
not
minutes
always
here.
20.
I know.
Sometimes
like,
it could be
that's
like
the
5
idea.
minutes.
Like you have a camera like scanning something.
Well, no, it would be like different sets, but it would be cut together so it seems seamless.
It's not really one shot.
No, it's not really one shot, but
okay.
it looks, if you're watching it, like it's going to be one shot. I hate that Birdman did it, and Birdman was all right with it.
Birdman was kind of set up like it was a stage play.
Yes,
so that makes a little bit more sense.
It does make more sense. I also
shout out to Ed Norton.
Yes,
because
shout out to Ed Norton.
He's in the film Keeping the Faith, which was filmed in our family bar. Which I remember the shooting of that. I was hiding in the basement while they were filming the bar scene.
Yes, I remember.
Do you remember? You were really young.
That was my first time ever on a movie set.
Yeah, that's true. and
I was hiding in the basement of our family bar while they were filming Keeping the Faith.
I still remember that like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
That was in 1999. And then Greg would go on later to work with Ed Norton on a movie.
Yes,
called
on Motherless
Brooklyn. So and cool. Full circle.
So the way Birdman kind of did the one shot was, I thought it was very interesting. I thought their transitions were way more creative. 1917, it seemed like it was just a gimmick. I don't think. Did you see 1917 or no?
No. I'm just agreeing because I could see how it could be.
The story isn't great. It's kind of
Is it World War One?
It's World War One, and like he has to run across.
Boring story. That World War One. No, I'm just kidding.
He has to run across like enemy territory to get to some general or some shit.
Mel
Fucking
Gibson.
know. Mel Gibson. But I didn't think the story was great, but there was such hype around it, and like all the major like review places or whatever were all saying like this was going to win, and then Parasite was one. And I had seen Parasite before the Oscars. I loved Parasite, but I did not think it was going to win just because it's in Korean, because a lot of the people who vote on the Oscars are much older, who like more classic movies.
Break this down.
Yes.
How does the voting for the Oscars work?
All right, so I don't know like it to a science.
It's literally some old guys that Harvey Weinstein's like, hey, no, Carl, I got you this fucking car.
It's basically everybody who's a part of the Academy of Motion Pictures and Sciences gets a vote. That's kind of.
How many people is that?
It's a lot. It's a pretty big group of people.
Like we're talking thousands, hundreds,
hundreds probably.
Okay.
Yeah. And everyone gets a vote on Best Picture, and then each category, whatever your like job is in that field, you get to vote on. So like sound engineers are the only ones who vote on sound design. Actors are the only ones who vote on actors and actresses. Directors are the only ones who vote on directors. But Best Picture, a lot, like it's everybody, but it normally skews older.
Yeah.
So the more classic movies kind of win. A lot of movies that don't really like push the boundaries, that kind of talk about what's going on in modern day, but doesn't really push the boundaries. Like Green Book had one in 2018, and Green Book was like, it was about racism, but it did it in a very safe way.
Right.
So you could see why they're going to vote for that, because it's like, you know, no one's going to disagree that racism is wrong, but also they're going to vote for a movie that doesn't get real deep into it, that doesn't make them feel guilty about anything they did.
Sure.
Know?
Yeah.
I didn't think it was going to win because it was Korean, because it's outside.
Well, and you should point out that's never happened before. Like
no.
an English speaking,
no, it's
a non-English speaking movie has never.
I don't know.
I thought
don't think so.
I thought a subtitled movie had never won before.
That might be right. Yeah. It's definitely not the first to get nominated. I actually think you are correct.
I don't know. Now I feel like I heard that, but I shouldn't say it with such confidence if I can't be 100% sure.
It's very rare. I thought the fact that it is Korean was going to work against it.
Yeah, no, I get that. I mean, not that it's Korean, it's just international.
I was not surprised at all when Bong Joon-Ho won Best Director. I thought 100% he was going to get that.
Yeah.
It is the best directing of that year. I'm trying to think of what...
Really good acting performances, too.
Really great.
Our main character was just sick. I mean,
yes, Mr. Kim. I don't know how to pronounce. The only actor whose name I know how to pronounce is Park So-dam.
Yeah,
who is Jessica, who is in a lot of kind of Korean romantic comedies.
Yeah, they were all good. I didn't really have a problem with anyone's performance.
Yeah. The main guy, Mr. Kim,
he was awesome.
He's a pretty famous Korean actor.
Yeah.
He's in a lot of stuff. And I really thought, I always think of when it comes to directing, what I really like and what I really think is shows a great director is not how much one particular actor does, but how the actors all communicate together.
Yes.
And it's a lot of the chemistry between all the characters is great.
Great.
The chemistry between the family
Both
is
families.
Great. Yes.
Totally believable.
The chemistry between the Kims and the Park is great. You really can see how they are tricking these people.
Mm-hmm.
All the tension between then the Kim family and the housekeeper when they come in.
The original housekeeper. She was great too. And it's how they play off of each other. I prefer that to, not to say anything bad about Joker, but Joker is very much about one performance. Yeah.
Joker is about one performance. There are good. Robert De Niro is fine in it.
He's so just. I can't even take him anymore, to be honest. There's no reason for him to even be in movies anymore.
He needs money.
Well, no, that's his reason. I'm saying there's no reason. He's just.
What did you think about that Irishman? If we're talking about last year at the Oscars, it was also nominated.
The Irishman. I mean, come on. You watch it because it's gonna be fun. It's Scorsese. It's everybody. Of course, you're gonna watch that. I would watch it again tomorrow. I mean, first of all, I love all that shit.
Right.
We love all that shit.
No. Mafia stuff. I'm always.
But as far as I'll be honest. I didn't think he was that bad in it. I thought the character. Yeah.
He's a very just passive character. He goes the entire movie.
Doesn't do anything anymore. He doesn't do anything anymore.
Exactly.
He's Rob De Niro.
He goes the entire movie just doing what other people tell him. He doesn't get too emotional either way.
Okay. Yeah.
He's kind of just a blah the entire thing. Al Pacino is fucking amazing in that movie. That's probably my favorite Al Pacino
My favorite
role.
was Joe Pesci.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think, maybe just because I miss him. But
That's true.
No, he was great. My biggest problem with that movie, and everybody has said this, but it's true, is the aging stuff, the anti-aging stuff.
It's terrible. They should have just got a younger actor to play.
Absolutely.
Or you look at how old Jimmy Hoffa was when he died. You looked at how old Frank Sheeran. Frank Sheeran was only 50.
No.
When that happened.
Oh, when that happened. Yeah.
Oh yeah. When that happened. So why are you having an actor 20 years older, and then de-age him?
Well, and first of all, whoever was in charge of the de-aging process should be fucking fired. I mean, it's too late to fire them.
Yeah.
How about the first scene where he meets Buffalina? What's his name?
Russell Buffalina.
Yeah. The first scene that they meet with the car.
He says, "Hey, kid," and it's just I do not believe that you can refer to.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And then obviously the scene everybody made fun of where he's kicking and punching the guy outside of the store.
They should have just
terrible.
They should have just cut it out.
Terrible.
I don't understand.
Terrible.
again with when I'm talking about directors because I love Martin Scorsese. Martin Scorsese is my favorite director. And
are you saying that because you feel like you need to say it?
I'm not saying that because I need to say it. I legitimately think Martin Scorsese is my favorite director. A lot of that movie is how the characters kind of play off of each other. You know, Robert De Niro, I guess, is the main character, but he's not like the focus point of the acting. You know, it's kind of bouncing off of each other.
Yeah. It's the three of them.
It's the three of them, and when they are together, even with De Niro being a passive character, like you still get that bounce off of each other.
Yeah.
I thought that was very present in Parasite. It's one of the few movies that I was thinking of. I was watching and I was like, the directing is really good. How these actors are playing off each other is really good.
100%.
It's usually not something I really too much think about until afterwards. There are very few just movies in general where you see a family on camera and you think like, yes, I believe that this is an actual family.
100%. What did you think about the whole concept of like the almost like the haunted house angle of like the fact that someone's like, this presence always been there?
Yeah, I mean, I like it.
Yeah, me too. I thought it was awesome.
It was interesting. So with the housekeeper's husband, that
is essentially a prisoner,
but so I like this idea of like, yes, the Kims are struggling. They live in a sub-basement, but here's someone who lives in the actual basement. Here's some of like, yes, you are struggling, but like you have a place, you have a family, and here's someone he's even lower than you. Mm-hmm. And I like it's kind of a secret entrance because like the Kims don't realize you can get lower. But like, no, there's a darker place you can go to, and then at the end, the main character, Mr. Kim, is in that darker place of like, yeah, you're on the lowest rung of society, but there are people who are out of society.
Yeah, I want to stay on there, but I don't want to lose this thought. You know what I thought was like really a brilliant moment? Like, you know how you talk about like with the director, like nothing's ever unintentional, like right. Even down to like where a coffee mug is placed or a plant is placed in a room. So the scene where they're at the party in the backyard, the end of the movie essentially, where they're wearing the Indian headdresses, and there's this moment. There's a moment between Mr. Kim and Mr. Park.
Yeah,
and they're almost like buddies.
Right.
Like they're basically like. Essentially, I mean, Kim is a little gone at that point, but there's almost this like humanity that happens, and then like Park like has to almost cut it off. Yeah, I forget. Like, I feel like he sees something in Kim that Kim is stressed about other things that he's not aware of, and he's taking it as like, oh, you don't want to be involved in this game for my child. And I'm paying you.
Yeah,
remember, I'm your fucking boss.
Remember, I'm paying you overtime for this.
Yeah. I just thought that was
that is when you said no, like a cup on the table is not misplaced. Was that intentionally a Game of Thrones reference or no?
No, you know I've never seen that.
No, but you've seen the like meme that everyone talks about.
No.
There's a scene, obviously Game of Thrones takes place in medieval time. There's a scene where there's a Starbucks cup on the table.
I remember that just because it was such a thing.
I know.
And the idea was that genuinely was a mistake.
They tried to pull it off like it was genuinely a mistake. If you've ever worked on a movie set, you know that's not a mistake.
Yeah, but what percentage of the population has worked on a movie set?
Exactly.
Right.
It's they knew it was going to be a meme, and they obviously, this is what I think.
They had a deal with Starbucks.
They had a deal with Starbucks.
Crazy.
100%.
That's
100%.
dark shit. This is what I'm talking about, dude.
So
these are the people that were
There's no way they didn't notice that there was a cup on the table.
How was it? So what was this? What was it?
It was, Daenerys, who's, she's the Dragon Queen. She's pretty much the main character.
How dark is that? I hate that. I hate that.
100%.
I hate that. This is the world that we live in. Welcome to Amazon.tv. Your mom's ass. Your fucking
they're having
face.
some like feast, and everything is on the table, and there's just like a Starbucks cup right here. And
all right. Well, it's that bad. I thought you were gonna say like maybe it's in the corner of a fucking shot or.
Well, she's in like a wide, so you don't notice it. I didn't notice it at first. A lot of people noticed it afterwards. On like HBO Go now, they like digitally took it out, and I was just like, oh, they digitally took it out that quickly. Oh, okay. So it was there on purpose.
Meaning they could have.
Meaning they knew it was there. They could have took it out the entire time, and they decided to keep it in. I think that it was intentionally put there, 100%. That's fucking.
Because how would that even?
When you're on a show that takes place in medieval times, you can't have product placement. You have there's a lot of potential money through product placement, 100%.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah,
I don't think there's any question.
I should go back.
And then it's going to be like some moment on the internet.
Yeah.
And then everyone talks about Starbucks for fucking 3 days on Twitter.
Exactly. And so
Twitter is just, by the way, just the depth of
another
society.
thing I wanted to bring up about the husband who lives in the basement kind of weirdly worships Mr. Park.
Yeah.
I always thought of that kind of. There is kind of, I mean, I guess this is present in Korea. It's definitely present in America of kind of the CEO worship or this billionaire worship.
Of course.
Think of the fucking like Elon Musk fan club that goes on.
But you know what? Elon Musk's reputation like fell off a cliff within the last like 6 months. I feel like he was like the coolest guy.
Yeah.
Like what happened to him?
But just in general, there's kind of this just like billionaire CEO worship that kind of goes on, especially around poor people who like really want to rise up. I saw that as a clear connection.
Donald Trump supporters.
Of Donald Trump supporters, exactly.
That's not, and by the way, that's not even a political thing. Not that I have to be careful about that. I'm very out in the open about my politics, but my point is just like, that's not even a political statement. It's just like
there is billionaire worship in this country.
Yeah. No, but you see that with Trump supporters.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
I mean,
not all of them, but
with 20 flags on the back of your car,
right?
Exactly. Like, at what point? Let's not go there. Anyway,
we're already there.
We're already there. I was gonna say, like, at what point do you have to admit you're in a fucking cult?
Sure.
So, but there is like this CEO worship of kind of like he worships the Mr. Park as like providing everything for him.
But okay, fine. Because I was gonna say he's in the house before Park's in the house.
Yeah, he was in the park.
So he's just worshiping him because he gets like a meal every 3 days.
Yeah,
basically. Yeah.
But I mean, I saw this as just like they worship CEOs who like don't care about them, don't think about them, because every once in a while you get scraps from them, you know?
Yeah.
And there's no real reason for him to look up for this person, you know? Mr. Kim certainly doesn't. I do like that metaphor of just like, you can go lower. Yes, you're in a sub-basement. This person's in the actual basement, and you can go lower. And there's also like a kind of like anti-hope message at the end, where it's like kind of hoping to become rich.
Become Mr. Park.
Hoping to become Mr. Park is like,
and take over the house. And free my father from the basement.
Yeah, but we can see like this is clearly never going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I like how they play it at the end where you think it's real, and then it's like, oh, it's not real.
He's back in the sub-basement.
But they never it never says for sure, like, is it definitely what he's imagining, or is it like
no? I think it's what he's imagining.
Yeah,
he's thinking of like, I'm going to become successful one day, and I'm going to buy in this house, and it's kind of like you tricking and finessing your way to try to get above is kind of what got you in the situation to begin with. I mean, I know that there's a really fucking dark way of thinking about it, but it's just like you trying to achieve way beyond what's actually realistic for you is kind of what got you in a worse position than you were to begin with. Like, I know that's like depressing as hell, but it is kind of what happens at the end.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. What else? Let's put a bow on this one.
Let's put a bow on.
I was going to say go into even deeper, darker, muddier waters, but
I mean, this movie is depressing. This movie is depressing.
It is. It's very enjoyable.
I always say, like, this movie, it's angry. It comes from a place of rage.
It's worth your time though.
It's a rage and it's jealousy is what's driving this movie. Yeah. But it's worth your time and it's great. Shut your phone off and just read the subtitles. Like, just pay attention to shit.
Well, there's no other option.
There's no other option.
You can't. This is not a playing on your phone.
Hold on. I should say that's specifically why I wanted to see it in theaters, because I knew it was subtitled, and I was like, if I'm watching this on my couch, I'm not going to get the full experience.
You know, I'll tell you. You bring up an interesting point though, because at no point in time was I mean, I try not to be on my phone if I'm watching a movie, especially for this show, because I need to know what the fuck's happening. But like, it's interesting because I didn't have the need to look at my phone. Yeah. I was very, very like engulfed in like not just the storyline, but like everything about it, and like it was almost helpful that you're like you have to read this movie.
Yeah, I'm thinking about that too. It makes you.
You're more invested.
It forces you to pay attention.
100%.
You know,
because you literally don't know what's happening. Yeah. If you're not reading, you don't know what's happening.
Yeah, it's not a movie you can walk to the kitchen and get a snack and then like, well, I can hear what's going on.
No.
Yeah,
obviously.
All right.
Good though.
Parasite 2019.
Parasite.
Definitely deserved that Oscar. 100%.
Fuck Harvey Weinstein.
Fuck Harvey Weinstein. Bong Joon-Ho is the fucking man. He's just great. He's just fucking great, and the acting is great. And all right, so this has been Movies by McManus. I'm your host, Greg. I'm with my brother Mike as always. So if you like this podcast, you can check out the video format of it on our YouTube channel. And also on our YouTube channel, I kind of do shorter breakdowns of whatever movie we're doing each week. Also follow us on social media at Movies by McManus. I'm Greg, my brother Mike.
Yep.
And have a good night, everybody.
See you next time.